Hey YouTube, I'm Sanj. Welcome back to my channel, Sanj Designs, where I'm building a 6-car smart garage. In this video, I've got Pete from Adam's Plastering Solutions, and we're going to be doing plasterboarding the ceiling, wet plastering the walls, and also skimming to make sure we get a nice super finish that we wanted, and getting that garage looking immaculate. Stay tuned, see how it's done. Right, so quick update. We've got pretty much inside all boarded. You can see what the guys have been doing here. This is the vaulted bit in the middle. And you can see what I did before. We got it all Celotex insulation. So that's 100mm Celotex, sealed, and that gives the insulation that we need. And you can see the standard that they've worked to. Fantastic. Everything is basically boarded really nice and neat. And you can see down this section as well, and all the boards are properly overlapped so you don't get cracking. And also you see the garage doors are in, and they're all protected and first fix as well. So all the green wires are all your data. This is for your home automation, which we'll talk about second fix, and the grey ones are all for power. So we've got a whole load of sockets around. So yeah, great work so far. Pete's doing a fantastic job, and we'll talk about how he's going to do wet plastering in a minute. Right, so this is Pete. Say hello, Pete.
Oh yeah, right.
Right, so he's a plasterer. So Pete, what materials do we need for wet plastering?
For the sand and cement base, we need plastering sand, cement, additives, plasticizer, waterproofer, and that's about it for the sand and cement coat.
Excellent. So what is it about this plaster sand? What's different about this plaster sand that's different to sort of normal?
It just has an extra bit of grip for key. It's the sharp sand's a bit of a finer grain, and it just helps give it a more I don't know.
Better consistency, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Right, and in essence, 2 bags of plaster sand and about sort of 12 bags of cement should enough cover all of that square footage.
Yeah,
which is
about
great.
9 mixes for a ton, and it's just under a bag of cement because you do it by buckets, so it's a uniform. It's 4 buckets to 1 bucket, 4 buckets of sand to 1 bucket of cement. Same buckets every time, so it's a nice uniform mix. There's about 9 or 10 mixes for a ton, so this should do that all the walls.
Excellent. Much better than dot and dab.
Yeah, much more solid. If I was having a garage, if I was having a house, that's what I'd have.
Fantastic. So this is the consistency of the mix. Not too thick, not too thin, just enough to put the right coat on. And now what Pete's doing is he's applying PVA. Is it neat PVA, Pete, or is it watered down?
No, it's watered down about 3 to 1.
Okay.
It's just to control the suction. It doesn't really need it for a key because the blocks are designed for it to be sand cemented on, but because they're thermalite, the suction's quite strong. So just to give it a bit more time to roll it off, I just PVA it.
Okay, good, yep. That's it. So to apply it on with a roller. Again, PVA is not expensive, so it's worthwhile doing it. Make sure you've got a decent job. So now we're applying a little bit at a time, section at a time.
As we've got a weak point where this tin was on the brick, I've been I've got to bed in some mesh just to stop the cracking.
So that's the mesh. Yeah, otherwise obviously when you've got the wood and the weak point it's going to crack, so that's what the mesh does. It helps when you've got a towel rather than doing it off a ladder, which is good. You see Pete just applying the mesh there. Fine.
You always want to overlap your mesh just to make sure it's strong enough. So the faster mesh I have has this painted blue to make it idiot proof.
And it's relatively inexpensive, but it makes the job.
Yeah, I think it's like 60 quid a roll, but
yeah.
it's 50 metres, and this is being cut down anyway, so it does last. And
Yeah.
It's a lot better than the metal mesh, because the metal mesh you tend to have to fix on with nails, or and you always dink it with your trowel, and when you come across it you pull it off. It's a lot better.
Yeah, but really it's just one bucket we're using.
Oh, so. Once you've got it nice and level with your trowel, to get your feather edge, give it a roll off up and down and across.
Just make sure it's nice and flat. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sure it's nice and flat, and any variations it fills in. Like I said, the top dives in ever so slightly, so I'll just make sure my levels are about right. Yeah, I've still got to pack the top out a little bit.
Do the top bit.
And when you roll off, if there's any low points, give them a little pack out. And then roll off. Perfect.
Excellent. So you just do that all the way along as you go along.
It's best to do it in bands. I'm probably going to do another band there, roll that off, and then do another band there just to keep it flat. So when I roll off, I can have it half on the stuff I know is flat and level, half on the new stuff. Do that. So do it in like a snake sort of thing to go down to the bottom. And that's basically it.
Excellent. Right, so Pete's done like the first base cement coat, and now what he's going to do is called a...
Devil's flare, that's what I call it, but
Okay.
I'm not sure what.
Go for it then. So Pete's going to show you how it's done, and then we're going to explain why we do that.
Always go across the corners just to keep them nice and sharp. And then to get the best key, like on a scratch coat, we do a wiggle line to get the best key for when you put it on. But this, because it's a skin coat next, I always do a figure of 8. Because that gives you a multi-directional key. So once it's dry for a few days, give it a bit of a brush down, and then it's ready to skim then.
Excellent. And that key that you can see there is what you need to get a nice coat. Otherwise, when you do the finished coat, I'm assuming it will just fall off. So
yeah, well, you'd have to do a lot of work on the skin to try and get over it, sort of thing. But that float closes it in ever so slightly, and then it's got 5 screws in just to give it the key.
So we've done that all across the whole of the garage. Everywhere that's wet plastered has got that coating there. So once we've done the final coat, it's going to get a nice tidy finish and good adhesion and good bonding.
Yeah, no, exactly. We control the suction, so as long as we don't, and there's waterproofer in the base coat sand and cement. So as long as we do it within the week to skim it, the control suction is perfect and the key will be fantastic. If we do have a problem with suction, we can always PVA it to help along, but we should need to.
So there you have it, guys. That's how we get the base coat for the wet plastering with the sand and cement. Obviously that's going to be skim coated with plaster, so stay tuned, see how that's done. Big thanks to Pete for doing a fantastic job. Stay tuned and we'll see you next time.